There you go, so we looked into Mini already. Now it's time to take a look at the Windbreaker, the newest addition as a Windbreaker, of course. Was it needed? Questionable. Now, if I'm being completely honest, okay, you know what? Before we dive on in and give our genuine, honest thoughts about this character, let me just kind of give you guys a little bit of a breakdown. So, obviously, she's a breaker. I believe she's got wind and weak and medium break across the board. I don't think there's any. Oh, there's a heavy break on the ultimate, but that for the most part is just medium and weak, which is fine because again, her passives does give her some break increase, so that's fine. Decided to go with the greed set. You can either go for the greed set, or you can opt out with. I mean, well, as a breaker, you just kind of tend to go for the greed or the chaotic desire, but because of with where wind is at, decided to cater to the greed side of it. Of course, I will get on with doing the desire set, but you guys know the drill. Cores pretty much as is. The middle one is the only one that I would switch up. I already had pre-built, so I was like, you know what, I'm just run with it, save me the hassle. But I do predominantly need the red one, and we are good to go. Yeah, so that's pretty much the only thing I would change, but that's just a quick little talk in terms of building her and what you're looking out for. Again, the premise of this character to build her up is more so on the attack, additional attack, quick hit rate, quick hit damage, a breaker more on the offensive side of things. That's kind of what we're looking at with this newest breaker being added into the game itself and added for the wind element. Not duped her out just yet, she's not A10 just yet, but she's A6. Eventually we'll get there, of course, so that's kind of what we're working with right now. But in terms of utilizing this character, seeing how she works well as a breaker, now obviously the comparison will be made between her and GOTO RYUJI. Now okay, if you want a copy of this character, that's completely fine, but GOTO RYUJI low-key is still valid. Now, what do I mean by that? Between the two characters, what does Soyeon have over GOTO RYUJI? Well, once I get her to A10, because as of right now, right, GOTO RYUJI has the A7 to A10, you know, stat increase, because that's what I'm losing out on, which is a decent amount of chunk, I will say that I'm, you know, I'm losing out on. And plus, I haven't maxed out her skills just yet, but for the most part, just taking that into consideration, Soyeon will be out damaging GOTO RYUJI. That's without a shadow of a doubt. Not only that, there is going to be more for the wind element in terms of what she's capable of doing in applying buffs to the team. Because you've got to keep in mind, there's a forever debuff that you can apply, which will make it so that you can do increased damage dealt, stacked up 3 times. That's an extra 15%, of course. And then again, through her passives, she can apply a debuff where she can allow the enemy to take 5% wind damage increase, damage taken increase of 5%. So across the board, that will be a 10%. And I believe that's on her A1. And then, of course, once you get it to A3, I think that's when it gets a bit of a boost. So we get the ultimate increase of 15%, and then an increase of wind damage by 10%. A4 will then give us a 9% increase in wind damage because of each ally being a wind element. So there's more on the table for the wind element damage, and keep in mind she's out damaging, so those are the positives. Now, like I said, she's offensive, so she is squishy. That's the one thing which I noticed very on when I decided to go into some more difficult fights. She was very squishy, but she out damages if you play carefully and whatnot. In team fights she did fine, to be fair. It wasn't anything that much of an issue, of course, so that's a plus. But she's got damage, and she provides more damage for the wind element. GOTO RYUJI, on the other hand, the thing I noticed is that he's a much quicker breaker. He can eat a lot of hits. I mean, it's go figure. I mean, he scales up from HP. And I mean, he does. Okay, so he does bring a little bit. Well, it's not all doom and gloom in terms of him not being able to provide for the team, because you've got to keep in mind, there is the arrogance buff that you can apply. So what was that? 20% increase in critical hit damage, basic skill increase of 20%, and then skill mana consumption increase of 30%. So just bear that in mind, of course. And that's a wind effect for all team members, right? So Leonard could benefit from that. And then the other additional thing that Leonard will be benefiting from is obviously, because Leonard is on the 3rd slot, he'll get a 24% increase. Just him, no one else, just him. And on top of that, the damage taken increase will be provided by 12%. So you're going to be taking more damage, but you're going to be dishing out more damage. And that is pretty much the most on what we're getting in terms of on what this GOTO RYUJI is providing, because obviously he himself is also trying to, you know, get those jabs in, as you can say. But Soyeon is kind of providing that. But taking everything into consideration, and with GOTO, where GOTO RYUJI is at, it's more so of in the case of, if you want to get Soyeon because she's a collaboration character for the sake of the exclusiveness and fair play, but you don't need to invest as much. If your GOTO RYUJI is built up, for right now, he's doing just as fine. Like, I would say that with GOTO RYUJI and Soyeon, that they're kind of like on par, if anything. They've got their things going for themselves with each other on, you know, Soyeon being a high damage dealer, providing more for the team in terms of doing more damage. GOTO RYUJI, he still provides the main DPS to do more damage. He himself is doing decent damage, not compared to Soyeon, of course, but he's able to tank. He's able to tank, right? He can absorb a lot of hit. So Soyeon just got to be a little bit more wary on what the enemy is doing, of course. So again, things to look into between the two characters on what kind of sets them apart. Hence why I say, you know, even before we were approaching their release, upon seeing this character, Soyeon being the windbreaker, I'm just like, I have a feeling that I feel like GOTO RYUJI is still going to be holding his own, and he is. And so it kind of alleviates that pressure of you having to be like, right, because of course everyone's focused on the dark element, and I don't blame you, but it eases off you for you to then having to then cater for this other collaboration character. GOTO RYUJI, he's still doing his thing, he's still valid, he's still holding his own. I did multiple runs running these two, obviously using obviously Leonard being the main DPS, having Sunjana as the support, of course, and then kind of going back and forth between the two defenders, or breakers, should I say. I guess the defenders also breakers, and just kind of seeing how they work and how effective they are for the team itself. I mean, right now for my GOTO RYUJI, because again, as I've mentioned, he's maxed out, of course. You know, he is providing. I mean, well, to be fair, even with my Soyeon being at A6, she is out damaging. I will say that she is out damaging. So like, even with the final results, once I get her to A10, she's definitely going to be out damaging. I feel like when it comes to scoring high, that is probably going to be the better team to run. But like, in terms of longevity, needing survivability, GOTO RYUJI is still going to be a valid option. He's still going to be an option to have, and if need be, especially in a team where you need multiple win characters. I think that is also the biggest W I can think of, is that win coverage right now for breakers with Soyeon and GOTO RYUJI, with how they work and how they fare. Very freaking good, like really good. Like, win right now as an overall coverage for like two set teams is looking powerful. Like, this is fantastic coverage to have. That is the one thing which I will say, if you want to really cater to Soyeon, if you really want to kind of build up your wind element. Wind element right now has a full-on, full-set coverage teams. So of course you've got Leonard going into Sunjana, of course, and then that then ends off with Soyeon. You can put GOTO RYUJI there too, and then the second breaker being Soyeon or GOTO RYUJI, whoever you choose to put on team 2. That will be going in with Hansemi, and then Amamiya. You know, Amamiya is still fantastic, can't deny that. She's still one hell of a DPS character. Hansemi still providing that field play. You know, she's still doing her job as a support unit, of course. So, and plus Amamiya and Hansemi technically do work together, and the breakers themselves do what they need to do to help the team out in providing that damage, as well as providing those buffs. Both of them are solid. They're good in their own ways. That's the one thing which I will say. So again, it does alleviate that pressure of you hunting down the Soyeon collaboration character. If you choose to get cool, if you choose to summon for her, if you do get dupes on her, then it's fine, but I wouldn't make it a priority, you know. But at the end of the day, you know, we're all going to get our copies, of course, it is fine, but you don't have to put that pressure on yourself being like, oh, so many characters to max out, you know. But yeah, GOTO RYUJI right now for the wind element. If you want to keep that team, GOTO RYUJI, Sunjana and Leonard, you can still get through the content. You're chilling. You're chilling. Soyeon is just providing more damage, that's it. So in situations where you need some higher numbers, that's where you'll get the upper hand. That is exactly where you'll get the upper hand.